As the BBC's security correspondent, I've been covering news in the Middle East and elsewhere for 15 years. Now that the US has a base here in the Horn of Africa. In 2004, while I was reporting from Saudi Arabia, we were ambushed and repeatedly shot by several gunmen.
The BBC team has come under fire from gunmen in a suburb of the Saudi capital, Riyadh.
My cameraman was killed, and one of the 6 bullets that hit me damaged my spinal nerves, leaving my legs partly paralysed and me dependent on a wheelchair for the rest of my life. Now, sadly, spinal cord injuries are not rare. They can happen to anybody at any time, regardless of age or background. Matt, when he was growing up, was, like many boys of his age, sport mad, and he lived for his rugby. When he was 17 years old, his sporting dream came true. He was signed up to play with the London Broncos. But just 20 seconds into his first ever professional game, Matt's neck was broken in a rugby tackle.
I had a phone call from my husband. He said that Matthew had been hurt. He'd got a neck injury, and then he said he'd been airlifted to hospital, by which stage I could feel my body starting to shake. We arrived at the hospital. They took me into a room and they said that it looked very serious.
It was quite terrifying when the paramedics were asking me whether I could feel my toes, and I couldn't, and they were asking me to move my fingers, and I was trying, and nothing was happening. It hit me like a smack in the face. I didn't need to be told that I'd broken my neck, that I'd never again be able to move my body and do the things that I'd done for the first 17 years of my life.
Not only was Matt paralysed, the accident damaged his diaphragm and left him dependent on a ventilator to breathe. There are an estimated 40,000 people in the UK living with a spinal cord injury. And every single day, more people suffer this life-changing injury. And I know how devastating it can be on a person's life. But there is a charity called Backup that works to help and support people affected by a spinal injury. Spinal cord injuries are not always just the result of a physical accident. Sometimes it can happen totally out of the blue. 4 years ago, while in bed and alone in her flat, Yasmin suddenly became aware that she couldn't feel her legs.
In the middle of the night, I needed to go to the loo, and I just couldn't go. And each time I went to the loo and back to bed, my legs just got weaker and weaker, and I kept falling down. And then in the end, I just couldn't get out of bed at all. And I just didn't realise what was happening. Within hours, I was paralysed.
Yasmin had suffered a stroke of the spinal cord. She was just 29 years old.
I'd never heard of anyone becoming paralysed overnight. You know, just disbelief. I was a fit, healthy person, never smoked, went to the gym 5 days a week. I was the last person you'd expect for something like this to happen.
Not only does spinal cord injury cause paralysis, other vital bodily functions are affected too. Day-to-day care is often required. The psychological impact on an individual can be huge. Backup recognises this, and it works to help people deal with the emotional impact of a spinal cord injury.
Right, you lost about half your weight, didn't you?
After spending 3 weeks in intensive care, Matt was transferred to the specialist spinal unit at Stoke Mandeville Hospital.
And that was the point I broke down. He couldn't talk, he was having to whisper everything. You can imagine a 17-year-old waking up being told that he's paralysed from his neck down and not even able to talk to you.
It was incredibly scary. I didn't know what I could do with my life, and I don't think anybody did.
It was while Matt was in hospital that he was told about the rehab courses run by Backup, where people with a spinal cord injury can try new activities like skiing.
I thought because of my level of disability that I simply wouldn't be able to do it.
But he could through Backup.
I never thought that I'd be able to sit at the top of a ski run or go out night clubbing with everybody, doing all the things that a 17 or 18-year-old lad was meant to be doing. And that ski trip was truly incredible, and I think it gave me the foundation to build on.
People who've had a spinal cord injury themselves are probably best placed to help others through the experience, and Backup knows this. They run a mentoring scheme where they pair up someone who's had a recent injury or a family member with someone who's already gone through the experience.
The mentors, I felt, you know, I could really relate to them and they were very helpful and they gave me hope.
One of the mentors suggested Yasmin go on one of Backup's scuba diving rehab courses to Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt.
The scuba diving was amazing and honestly it was just beautiful under the water. You just feel free of your disability because it doesn't matter. 4 years ago, if someone said to you on your hospital bed, you'll be throwing yourself out of a plane, you'll be water skiing and you'll be back to work, I would not have believed her. I wouldn't believe her in a million years, but honestly, that is what Backup have done for me.
Psychologically, activities like these make such a difference to those of us with spinal injuries, but there is practical help at hand too.
Has anybody got any ideas of how you push one-handed?
Backup run wheelchair skills sessions at 11 specialist spinal units across the UK. They're helping people to try to recover that all-important independence.
We've all got a cone each.
Today, Sean and his team are running a session for recently injured patients. Like all Backup wheelchair skills trainers, he's got a spinal cord injury himself.
The skills that we're teaching are really to build up people's confidence in using chairs, give them really kind of practical skills that they're going to need in everyday life.
So we're going to be pushing nice and steadily, flicking your casters up. That's it.
When you've been in bed, very frightened, very trapped, getting into a chair and having the opportunity to make some independent decisions about which room you go into, who you talk to, which table you sit at, is like a new beginning.
A year after Matt's accident, he went back to school to complete his A-levels and then on to university, where he got a first in his law degree.
I've recently started work as a trainee solicitor in London. I'm able to live in my own home with the support of a care team. I've completed 2 Great North runs and the New York Marathon, and these are things that I never thought I'll be able to do.
Matthew has just done so well, and to have achieved as much as he has now, I'm so proud of him.
Backup really can make a huge difference to people's lives, literally transforming them, and I've seen this with my own eyes. They need this work to continue. So as someone who's personally had to deal with spinal cord injury, I'm asking you to donate to this appeal and help others in a similar situation. Please donate by going to the website backuptrust.org.uk or by calling 0208 875 1805. Or if you'd like to post a donation, please make your cheque payable to the Backup Trust and send it to the Backup Trust, Jessica House, 191 Wandsworth High Street, London SW18 4LS. Remember, if you're a UK taxpayer, the charity can collect gift aid on your donation, worth another 25%. Just send in a note to say you want your donation to be subject to gift aid and include the date, your full name and address. Thank you.